Kev, looking back on Saturday's comeback win over Port Vale, second time in a week that the team had come back from 2-0 down, but they showed great resilience.
Yeah, I'd prefer not to be coming back from 2-0 down. I think if we can start the games as we've finished the last two, then we'll be a very, very good team. But it shows progression, it shows where we're at as a team, it shows confidence. Up until a certain point, I mean, we'd never come down back from 2 goals down, I don't think, until Orient. So, and our record of coming back from a deficit hasn't been as good as what you'd hope throughout the season. So to get to this stage where going 2 down hasn't rocked the team, it hasn't put them too far back, and they've kind of stepped forward and took advantage when they can, I think that's a real positive.
And what was the mood like at half-time as well? And, what was said? Were the guys did they believe right from the start that they were going to come back?
What was said?
If you can say.
Yeah, no, I can't repeat what was said. We firmly reminded them that they've got a job to do, that they're a good team, and that what they just done in the first half didn't represent who we are and how we do things. I think, if I'm being honest, in the first half, I would say Ryan Woods, Jake Richards and Luke Harris turned up. After that, I think it was a generally poor performance, and it's credit to the players that they could take what came at them at half-time. They could take that criticism, they could take that understanding, and they could go out there and they could put it right in the second half. The old cliche of a game of 2 halves and all that kind of stuff, I heard that no end of times, but it takes a mental resilience, it takes a strength to be able to take on board information and criticism at half-time, dust yourself down and go out and perform. And the lads really did that. The finishers made a massive difference. And the pleasing thing was when we got back in it, I think when Zach scored the equaliser, he went and celebrated, but he didn't milk it. He immediately turned around and ran back, and I thought that showed great intent that we were going to go and win the game. You want the players to enjoy the feeling of scoring. You want them to. It doesn't come often, especially for Zach, but when he scores good goals, and I thought it was really, really good that he kind of cut it short, ran back, and everybody ran back with a real intent. I felt on the side looking at that we're winning this game.
Well, it's been goals have sometimes been hard to come by this season, but that's now I think 9 games in a row that we've scored in, and 6 in our last 2 games. So does it kind of feel like the guys are expressing themselves maybe a bit more?
Again, progression, process, all the boring stuff that we've spoke about regularly in these kind of debriefs, and we've spoken about before games. It is difficult to keep these type of interviews fresh, because from our point of view, it's an ongoing process, day by day, that we work towards getting the team to be better. And the big challenge for us is keeping the core of the group together so that we can build on that progression rather than have to start again like we kind of did at the start of this season. But it is difficult because you want people to look at these interviews, you want them to enjoy, you want to be honest, you want to be straight with them, but you can't say anything that you're not working on. You can't go against what you're doing, and it is progression. So the lads have worked really hard. We spoke about it as a group. I say as a group, a few of us spoke about it on the coach on the way back. When we were going through the terrible run, we kept saying that you will be better for this. You will be a better person, you'll be a better player, you'll have better understanding, you'll know what it's like to have really gone through adversity, and less things will hurt you because you're going through such a tough time. And we went through that, and we took it as a group, and we took it on the chin, and we didn't turn on each other. And here we are now, and everything seems rosy again. But that can turn quickly. It's coming to the end of the season, and we want to make sure that we go out with a bang. We want to make sure that the fans go into the summer really looking forward to next season, and we want to make sure that we're doing the same. And I'm pretty sure we will. But there's 2 games to make sure that happens, and that will be progress, and that will be process.
Just continue with the numbers as well. Since the turn of the year, picked up the joint most points away from home in League One, with leaders Portsmouth with 19. I mean, that's quite an impressive stat.
Yeah, you've had fun, haven't you, going and finding your numbers? So, and again, Away from home, we've kind of, I suppose, teams come at you a little bit more. If you look at earlier in the season when we've been at home, teams had sat off and tried to make it difficult. We've got better at breaking those teams down, so it's more difficult for teams to just come and park the bus now, because when we do score, we're a threat again after that when they have to come at us. Away from home, teams have had to come at us a little bit more because it's their kind of their ground, their home. They have to show their fans what they're about, and we've found a way of picking up results. But you know, if you look at how we were playing when we weren't winning, you look at how we're playing now, the way we play, the style in which we play, our identity is all very, very similar. Obviously, with any sport, when you're confident, things become a little bit easier and things seem to flow a little bit more, and even to a degree, you maybe get away with a little bit more. You know. 2 games to come from 2-0 down, and even against Stevenage, you know, Jamie Reid has a couple of chances that he misses that on another day could go in, but he doesn't, and we're sat here now talking positively.
I hit you with one last set of stats here, but Gary told me this one. But on Saturday, the average age of the starters was 24.5, and that went down to 23.7. At the end, I guess, you know, that's an impressive, and they showed great maturity above their years, really, in the way they managed the second half.
Absolutely, and there are lads in our team that are far younger than what we kind of realise. You know, somebody like Jack Nicholson, I know didn't play on Saturday, but you know, he looks a lot older than what he is. I hope he watches this. But we have got a lot of young men. We have got a lot of young players, and some of those young players were recruited. And on Saturday, some of those young players, you know, Pedro got his chance, and his assist for the goal was outrageous, really. Sonny's obviously made his mark this season and broken through. Jake Richards has come in early, and at the end of the season he's back in now doing his thing. You definitely forget that Luke Harris is only 18. You know, these are things that it's easily forgotten in the grand scheme of things. But it's brilliant that these players are progressing. It's brilliant that they're gaining experience, and it'll only put them in a good place for the future.
It was talked about in January as well how important it was to strengthen the squad, and do you think that the last couple of games have shown why that was so important, with the difference that the subs have made and having that depth of, you know, choices?
I think so. I also think that again, without banging the same drum, it is progression. Like we've said all season long, how important the squad is. The game or the days that have gone really where it's just the starting 11 and subs. It's starters and it's finishers. It's a squad game. There are a lot of games each season played, and it's not just down to 11 people to be successful. It's about everybody doing their bit to drive everybody else on. You know, the last few games I think have shown the impact that the finishers can make if they're ready, if they're involved, if they're sat on the side watching the game from through the eyes of a player, not a fan. I've always enjoyed, you know, being on the side because I think everybody's engaged. I think everybody wants us to do well. You know, when we score, the bench goes up, and I really think that's a big thing. But from a player, from a finisher's point of view, they can't become too much of a fan. They have to watch it through the eyes of, well, I might be on that pitch any minute. What do I need to be ready for? What do I need to make sure I'm prepared for? How do I go about my job when I get on there? And when you look at the lads that came on at the weekend, they all did that. And I would go back a few games now to say that lads have been ready when called upon and have come on and done their job.
We passed last year's points total on the weekend. It was a pretty incredible achievement given, you know, the amount of changes over the summer, or the amount of players that came in, and that sticky period we had. Yeah,
you know, it has been a season of build. It's been a season of maturity. It's been a season of progression. It's something that we've worked towards. It's something we knew was going to have to be done. We've had our tough patch. We've come through it. And I think the manager mentioned we're grateful for the support that we got from everybody involved. We stuck together over there in that building, and now we're in a position where we need to continue building into Northampton, which is the only one that we can affect right now, towards the end of the season, and then on we go into the summer and to next year. So exciting times. Really pleased that we've got to this stage, but it's not really a case of patting each other on the back and saying you've cracked it, because we didn't do that when we were at the top of the league after 8 games. We didn't do it when we were having a really tough time, and we're certainly not going to start doing it now.
We've got a trip to Northampton this Saturday to look forward to, but again, will be another strong test. You know, they've come up to the League One this year and really shown what they're about and sit just above us in the league. So there's also an opportunity to beat them and move up another place.
Exactly. So that's for us, that will be the target. It's another team that we can hunt down. They've had a really good season. Yeah, it's never easy your first season when you've been promoted. I think they've done some really good things. They at one point were kind of pushing and may have thought about the playoffs, but I'm sure that John Brady will be delighted with the season that they've had. From our point of view, we go there, we know it's a nice pitch, we know it's a nice place to play, we know that they're a tough team to play against, but we also know that if we can get a win there, that, like you say, we go ahead of them and we maybe go into that last game of the season with a chance to break into the top 10. So loads to play for, exciting stuff, and we'll be ready.
8 games unbeaten. You can only say the next game twice now this season, but I guess, you know, the aim is to end the season 10 games unbeaten and get that top half finish.
You know I'm predictable now, yeah. So yeah, let's get Northampton done. Let's make sure we're prepped and ready for that. Let's go there and show our identity, show how good we can be, and then we'll one more time I can say next game.
Just to briefly touch on the Oxford game as well, just about to sell out as well completely. So hoping for a complete full house, just to kind of, you know, take in what has been a great season and finish it with one last occasion at the park, and then we have the signing event afterwards. So it should be a nice day for fans and the players.
We can talk about that next week when we've got past Northampton.
Just to finish up as well, 2 players you've got to know really well in your time here, Alex Hartridge and Harry Kite. You know, we've announced that they'll be leaving the club at the end of the season. Just, you know, your thoughts on what they've done for the club, really. Yeah,
incredible achievements from both of them. I'm delighted for Kite to get his 100th appearance at the weekend, and again, you know, what a pro. He's been out of the squad for a little while. He trains every day like it matters. He's always ready when called upon. He's an incredibly good soldier, and he goes out there, and I'd love for his shot to have gone in. That really would have kind of been icing on the cake. But you know, both those guys, they've been incredible servants to the club. They've come up through the academy. They represent everything that we're about as a football club: progression, development, opportunity, you know, young players coming through. You know, it's fitting that he gets his 100th appearance. You know, we'll make sure he gets a chance to say goodbye properly at SJP in the last game of the season. But they can both be incredibly proud of what they've done for this football club. They leave it in a far, far better place than when they came into it. And that, I think, as a footballer and anybody involved in football, if you can do that, it's a real measure of success. So I wish both of them all the success in the world wherever they end up going. You know, they've both made that decision themselves that it's time to move on, and that in itself, again, it's brave, it's proper, it's real world of football, and they'll go away and they'll have experiences, good and bad, I'm sure. But I've no doubt they'll always look back on this football club as something incredibly special.